Welcome to AngularJS training program. In this today's lesson, we are going to see much more internal details about the AngularJS, how to create the applications. Particularly in this today's lesson, I want to concentrate on the forms topic in AngularJS. Yesterday we have created a basic application, just it was like we have stored the data and we have displayed the data dynamically. But today I want to focus on the forms. We will work with the text boxes, check boxes, ready button, drop down lists, this type of form elements in the today's lesson. So, what is form here? If you can recollect the forms topic in the previous lessons, the form is a collection of form elements. The form elements means the text boxes, labels, check boxes, drop down list, etc., which are used to collect the data from the user. And also we can store this particular set of values in a object, and that object we can store in the database or we can retrieve from database. So there should be coordination between automatic data binding between the object and the form. When we have entered the data in the form, the same should be automatically updated in the object and vice versa. So much like a TV and remote. Whenever you press the remote button, automatically the channel will be changed in the TV. Similarly, whenever you modify the model object, the same should be automatically updated in the user interface. Here, the model object is called as a model and the user interface is called as a view. So, you will update the data in the model, the same will be automatically updated in the view. You will update the data in the view, the same will be automatically updated in the model. So, this is called data bindings. Let us see how to create the data bindings practically in this lesson. So, let us get started. So, data bindings in AngularJS. First, what is data binding? Data binding is the relation between model and the view. So, if you update the data in the model, the same will be automatically updated in the view and vice versa. That is called data binding. We have two types of data bindings. One is one-way data binding. Second one, two-way data binding. So, what is the difference between these two? First, if you take one-way data binding, we have the view and also we have the model. The data will be updated from model to view. Every time when the model is updating, the view gets updated automatically. Suppose here we have x is equal to 10 and here we are displaying the x value. Suppose first initially in the output you will see 10 because the x value 10, so output also will be 10. But next time when you modify the 10 as a 20 here, when we have updated the 10 as 20, automatically in the output it will be reflected as a 20. So, every time when you modify the data in the model, the same will be automatically updated in the view, but not in reverse. In case if you modify the data in view, the same will not be updated in the model. That is the nature of the one-way data binding. But alternatively, we have two-way data binding, which means both model to view and view to model also. See, two-way data binding is same, this diagram we will retake, but also we have another reverse arrow mark, that is a view to model also. So, the updates will be happened from model to view plus view to model also. You modify the data in the model, the same will be affected in the view and vice versa. For example, we have the x value 10 that is displayed inside a text box. Now in the text box you can see the value 10. That means what happened exactly, the data has been taken from the model and displayed in the view. Now user has updated this particular property value. Suppose he is just erasing this text box and he is just writing 20. The same will be automatically updated in this particular model. So this 10 is replaced as a 20, automatically gets updated. Initially the model data has been taken into the view, later view data has been updated into the model. So model to view plus view to model, both are possible at the same time, that is two-way data binding. To create one-way data binding, expressions we have to use. Expression means the double curly braces like this. To create two-way data binding, we require to write input tag with the ng model equal to property name. To which property you want to bind, that particular property name. So let us see this ng model with example. Okay, we are creating a new program, that is forms.html. Save it in C:/JS folder. Now we can notice the forms.html and angular.js both are present in the same folder exactly. Now we have to import the angular.js file into the HTML file. So what will you do? AngularJS is the title. We have to import angular.js file into the current working file. How do you identify whether angular.js file loaded or not? After executing, go to inspect element in the browser, go to debugger. In the debugger, it will show the scripts. It will show the angular.js file here. So if the file is displayed like this, then we can understand the angular.js file has been loaded. After loading, you are able to create a module. Module is a collection of controllers. The module name can be anything. Suppose we are going to create the name my module. My module is the name of the module. We can give any other name. And whichever the modules that you want to import into this module, that list we have to specify. I don't want to import any other modules. Assume there are module 1, module 2, module 3. Each module contains a set of controllers. Suppose you want to import module 1 into module 2. So while creating module 2, we have to specify the name of module 1. So while executing the module 2, automatically it will load the module 1. So, and also we are going to store the module address in a variable. The variable name can be anything, for example, app. App is a variable that is representing the address of this particular module. Now, we have to create a controller inside the module. So, app.controller, controller name, my controller. We can give any other alternative name. Then in this controller, I am able to receive an argument called $scope. $scope is representing the current working model which is specific to this particular controller. Every controller will have its own model. Assume in the big application we have 10 controllers. So each controller has its own model. So 10 models are available. $scope refers to the model that belongs to the current working controller which you are really creating at that moment. The $scope function is accessible within the same controller function only, but not outside it. So $scope dot, we have to create the fields as properties. What fields you want to present in your form? Suppose I want to create a registration form which contains first name, last name, age, next we want to display email, country. And also we have a checkbox, suppose newsletters. So we have this set of properties. These set of properties only I want to display as a form. Okay, now for this whole program we have to apply this particular module 1. So what we have to do, ng app is equal to my module. The name of the module which you create here should be mentioned here. That means the module is loaded into the complete HTML program top to bottom. And then after that we have to create a view, div ng controller is equal to, what is a view? Okay, this is a view for which controller? My controller, right. So this is the view for this particular my controller. Now where is a model, where is a view, where is a controller? Here $scope is a model. These are the properties which are stored in the model. My controller is a controller, the div tag is a view. First, a controller loads data into model. By default, the model is empty, controller loads data into model. The view will call that particular model. Before that, controller will call the view. So step number 1, controller loads data into model. Step number 2, controller calls view. Step number 3, view calls model. So that is a triangular relationship between the controller, model and view. How it is triangular? Check it. For example, this is your controller. This is your view. Okay. So this is your this is your view, this is your model. So first controller calls model. Next controller calls view. Next view calls model. What that shape? Triangle shape. So the relation between MVC is what? Triangular shaped. Now here we have to just say first name. If you want to display the value as it is, then we can go for this one. These expressions will just display the value as it is. First name is Adam, that just the value appears once. But in case if you just don't want to display the value, but you want to create a text box to bind it, because you want to take the value from the text box later, then what to do? We have to go for input type equal to text. In the value, we can just specify the same expression whatever we have earlier. Now the value is up here, but the problem is if you modify this text box value, this value will not be updated back to the property. So for example, I am just creating one more text box. If you modify the text box value here, the same is not updating in the property. If it is updated, then the same will be automatically appear in the second text box. It's not happening because the text box value is just read only, like whatever value present from the model, the same value as it is appear here in the text box, but text box value is not getting read and updated in the model. So if you want to make it updated, what will you do? We have to go for two-way binding. Two-way binding is implemented with ng model. Instead of writing value, ng model you will use. Automatically internally it will apply the value. Just you will give the name of the property without the curly brace. That's it. Now what happened? If you modify the text box value, the same is getting updated in the second text box, because this part is a view and there is a model. First name value is available inside it, first name Adam. First initially this value is being updated in the text box. When you modify something here, blah blah blah, something you type there, automatically the same getting updated in the first name property here. So, it is mutual, model to view, view to model. That is why it is called two-way, forward plus backward. Model changes getting updated to view, view changes gets updated to model, vice versa. So, that is why we call it as two-way binding. Okay. How to create two-way binding? NG model. How to create one-way binding? Expressions. So, if you convert the NG model here, now both are two-way binding, both will mutually update each other. See, if you modify the first text box value, the same is getting reflected in the second one. If you modify the second one, same is getting reflected in the first one, because both text boxes are presented to binded to same model. The source point is only one. It is not like text box value is becoming updated into second one. There is no relation between the first text box to second or reverse. How they are related? Both are two viewpoints for the same model object. Here only one property is available. Whatever you type there, that is updated here, and the same is updated back to the second text box also, because of two-way data binding. So, in that way the first text box value getting reflected in the second one, or maybe reverse also, but it is not like first text box is updating directly to second one. I will give one real world example for this. For example, same laptop is connected to two projectors at the same time. So, whatever you type in the first laptop, the same will be reflected in both projectors at the same moment. So, it is not like first projector is updating the value to second projector, but the source point is common for both of them. So, model is same for both text boxes, no connection between these two text boxes each other. Like this, we can create n number of NG model for the same property, it is up to you. So, generally one is enough for you. So, I am just removing all these things. Okay, let us go for remaining. So, last name also we have, age also we have, email, newsletters and country. Property names we have to specify, right. So, last name, age, email, newsletters, country, right. So, all are just updated, and I want a checkbox for these newsletters. So, I just go for input type equal to checkbox. As a result of the checkbox will be checked if it is true, otherwise unchecked. As I have given true as the initial value, that checkbox gets checked. In case if you uncheck this, internally in the memory this property becomes false. Okay, now the status is false. Again now the status is true. Again now the status is false. Depending on the selection, it will just update automatically internally. And also for the country, I want a drop down list. I am just taking select tag. Select is a parent tag, you should close it with options. Okay, there is a problem. See, country is equal to India, we said. Okay, fine. Now you can check country is equal to India. So, by default India is being selected. I want to make it selected by default, please select. I do not want this one by default. I want please select. So, what will you do? You will go please select here, and here you will mention some 0. you can give anything 0 or -1 something, that value will provide here as a default value, 0 you just mentioned. So, okay, that should be by default. Okay, let it be please select only. So by default it is please select, and user can choose whatever he wish. And finally, after creating the check boxes, drop down list text boxes, I want a submit button. So when I click on submit button, I want to do some process. I just create a submit button here, input type equal to submit, value is equal to register. When the user clicks on this registered button, I want to execute a function. So what will you do? Here I will just write ng click equal to some function name we have to specify. The suitable naming convention is on followed by the button name followed by event name, that is on registered clicked, that is a suitable name. Instead of giving function 1 function 2 what we have given in jQuery, instead of that I prefer this naming convention for the real time projects. So on registered clicked, here on means when, at what time on, when we click on registered button. So to reflect such a meaning, I prefer this naming convention. So on followed by the button value followed by the event name, and we have to create this method in the $scope. It's a function actually, but since we have stored it inside an object, that becomes a method. By definition, functions stored in the object are called methods. So this code will execute whenever the user clicks on the button. For testing, I am writing window.alert. Window is optional. So when I click on the button, it's calling this alert. There we can write any code. I want to collect all these values from the respective text boxes. Once we type something here like first name, last name, whatever you type here, these will be automatically updated in the respective properties, like the first text box value into first name property, second text box value into last name property, and so on. All these text box drop down list values gets updated automatically into the respective properties as per these bindings whatever you mentioned. That is the reason we have to get the values from these properties. We don't write separate code for getting the values from the text boxes. So what will you do? Suppose in jQuery, how do you get the text box value? $of #txt1 you will write, right? But that is not required for us. Alternatively, $scope.firstName reflects the first text box value, because this is a model representation of the text box. Text box is a visual representation, $scope is a model representation. Suppose the person is standing in front of the mirror, he can see his own reflection. Like that, the text box value automatically reflected in the model. So $scope.firstName definitely will be up to date to the text box. Means what I meant to say, whatever I type in the text box, this value automatically will be stored in the first name property, because you bind it here. Finally, you will just concatenate a string like first name is equal to first name, last name is equal to last name, age equal to age, email, newsletters and country. And I am going to store this particular value inside a temporary variable, for example, where s is equal to this particular value. Now we are going to display the same in the alert. So, this will totally execute when the user clicks on the particular button. Let us check there. We have entered some value. One minute. Okay, we have entered some value. And click on okay, after entering the details, I just click on button, same values I can export here, just check it, first name is updated, check it, last name updated, whatever we have entered in the text box, up to date values we are getting here. So, $scope.first name can be set or can be get, for setting or getting same syntax. Here $scope represents the current working model, and first name and last name are the properties of that. So, the concepts try to recollect. Model will store the data, view will displace the data, controller will manipulate the data. MVC architecture try to recollect here. Model, view and controller. Model will store the data. What data you want to print? We will store the data in the model. View will print the data, displace the data in the form of HTML tags. Controller will do manipulation, processing, validations, condition checking, decision making, any kind of calculations. This is about the MVC. So, in our example, we have created two types of bindings. What are they? One-way binding and two-way data binding. Check this, one-way binding and two-way binding. So, one-way binding means it is a model to view only. Every time the model is updating, the view will be automatically updated. And two-way binding means model to view as well as view to model also. How to create the one-way binding? Through expressions, double curly braces. How we have created two-way binding? Through ng model. Okay. Now, we have understood about MVC and two types of bindings, one-way binding as well as two-way binding also. Okay, now let us see how to work with the animations. Now, let us see. So, I want to explain for you like ng repeat attribute first, ng repeat. So, what this ng repeat first I will explain. Ng repeat, assume we have an array, we have a group of values, and I want to read the values from this particular array, and for each value you want to generate a tag. Imagine we have created one array, that is the source of data, the destination is a tag. From the source to destination, that is from model to view, this is the model. Okay, this is the view. From the model to view, one by one, value by value should come. I want to load the value 1, this tag has to execute once. I want to load the value 2, again this tag should execute. I want to load the value 3, again this tag should execute. This tag executes once for one value. If you have hundreds of values from this model, that many times this view will execute. So, how can we do that? That is what we call it as ng repeat. Ng repeat will repeat the tag once for one value. So, in what kind of cases we require this ng repeat? See, think about a Gmail, for example. Once you log in Gmail, you will see the list of mails, mail 1, mail 2, mail 3, and number of mails you will see. Per page around 50 to 100 mails will be displayed, of course, depends on selection. So, all the mails are coming from an array like this only. This is mail 1, mail 2, mail 3. Read the mail 1, display the tag. Read the mail 2, display the tag. Each mail will be read from the database and will be displayed in the output. So, any kind of list type of information we have, that itself is an example of ng repeat. I will go one more example. Think about products list inside some online shopping site. Suppose you open Flipkart or eBay something, Snapdeal something. So, there just product 1, product 2, product 3 and so on. So, it will read the data from array, it will read the product 1, display the tag once, read the product 2, display the tag once, read the product 3, display the tag once. This process repeats till ending. So, whenever we have a list of operations to perform, we have to use ng repeat. Okay, let us check this program, ng repeat program. Okay, now this module and the control are common and compulsory. So, even this part also I am just cleaning up. Okay, right. Now, I want to create an array in the model. So, $scope dot cities is equal to, I want to store the list of cities. Suppose I am just writing the list of cities. Okay, I just write some of the list of cities. Now, I want to read the list of cities from this array and display the same inside a tag. That tag can be anything. It can be a div tag, it can be paragraph tag, it can be h1 tag, it can be table tag, it can be list tag, whatever you wish you can write. For example, I want a p tag. So, my goal is that read the data from this array one by one, generate the p tag once. Read Hyderabad, generate the p tag. Read Mumbai, again p tag. Bangalore, p tag. This process should repeat till ending. I don't know how many exist, that many times it should repeat. If that is the case, go for the ng repeat. So, what will do ng repeat? Some temporary variable, for example, city, in cities. Here in is a fixed name, in is a fixed. Cities is the name of the array what you created in the model. City is a temporary variable. So, simple. Cities is a source point, source of data. City is a destination. So, read Hyderabad into city, execute the tag once. Read Mumbai into city, execute the tag second time. Read Bangalore into city and execute the same tag once again. So, this process repeats till ending. Read one value and display the tag. This process repeats. So, we are displaying the cities these many times. Why it is repeated 5 times? We have written the paragraph only one time, right? But why it is repeated these many times, you can notice 5 paragraph stacks are generated here, because that is what the functionality of ng repeat here, right? Ng repeat will repeat. It is made for repetition, depends on array of data. Now, I want to see actual name of the city instead of hello. So, you will print city. This variable name should be same as what name you created here. So, finally, the city names you can see in the form of paragraphs. The first paragraph Hyderabad, second paragraph Mumbai and so on. Each paragraph is just being repeated. Right. Now, we can just use any HTML tag. I will talk about one UL tag. With the LI tag gets repeated. Do you remember UL-LI in HTML? LI means list item. Automatically it will show bullet symbol for every item. So, to show the bulleted item we can use UL. No, I don't want bullets information, I want a table format. Yes, you can do that. So, table, what tag should be repeated? TR tag should be repeated. Each time I want to display the city in the TD. Table border equal to 1. Now, we can say table with the border, because this TR tag gets repeated once for one city. Also, I want to display the serial number, like 1, 2, 3, it has to generate automatically. To generate the serial number, just what will you say? Semicolon, here, semicolon, no, not semicolon, here, just index we can use, index. Index will give you index value. No, okay, just a minute. Okay, dollar index we will use, dollar index. Okay, so dollar index will give you index of the particular item, but here index starts from 0 here, that is what the problem. But we want like 1, 2, 3, 4 normally, I do not want 0 here. Just you will write +1. Actual index is 0 onwards, it starts from 0, but we are just printing +1. So, it will take like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really in the output. But I want to store much more information. Suppose we have a city name and country, we have a city name and population, we have other details. So, whenever you have an array with a group of values, each value consists of different multiple values. For example, I will tell 10 country names, each country has its own country name, its capital city, its own territories, its own flag, its own government type. We have different values. For each country we have different data. If that is the case, what will you do? You will go for the object array. In JavaScript, I told object arrays topic. So, we have to create one object array and read the data from object array and display the same in the output. So, let us see how to work with the object array with ng repeat in example. So, here I am going to take one array, but that array is not a simple array, it is a object array, because each element will be an object here. Ng repeat 2.html, okay. Each element will be an object. See, I am going to store a set of employee details. So, employee ID number 101, employee name Scott, and his salary 7,000. This is one employee details. Like this, we have 5 employee details we created. Each employee contains employee ID, employee name, salary, it is an object. One employee equal to one object. So, we have a group of employees like this. I am just giving some dummy details. Now, I want to read the data from this array and display the same in the ng repeat in the table. So, what will you do? emp in employees. From the employees, one by one data by data will be loaded into this particular emp variable. Means first object will be loaded into emp, second object will be loaded into emp. Each time that tr will be repeated. because in which tag ng repeat is written, that tag only will repeat. Each time you want to display emp dot empid. I am writing emp dot because inside the emp, that means inside this object only we have the property called empid, right. So, we have emp dot emp name and emp dot salary. Okay, some problem, some mistake happened. EMP in employees. Okay, cities is the name of the array now. So, we have to give like employees. Employees is the name of the array. So, now we can see 5 times it is repeated. Now, I want to display the heading also, header row. And don't apply ng repeat for this, because if you apply ng repeat for this header row, the heading also will repeat 5 times. I don't want that. I want to display the heading only one time at the top. Now, the headings are up here. You can also use a combination of CSS as well. So, just let us apply some ID for this table. So, in the CSS means style, has table 1, background color is equal to some property like so, in Visual Studio Code, if you give hash ff 6 times f means that is equal to white color. Then it will take a 255 red. The formula is for white is equal to RGB formula, you know, 255 red plus 255 green, 255 blue, that is equal to white. Okay. Black color is equal to 0 red, 0 green plus 0 blue. Suppose I want yellow color. So, what will you do? Red plus green equal to yellow. So, 100% of red, that is 255 red, maximum 255 plus 255 green, and do not mix blue, that is 0. So, that is equal to yellow. Like this we can generate 16 million colors. Based on RGB only, most of the electronic devices are working today, includes your mobiles, TVs, everything. So, based on that we have to represent the RGB in hexadecimal format. This is RGB format of the same. The 255, 255, 255 is rewritten as hexadecimal format here, that is equal to FF. Okay, now I want this color. The hexadecimal number system will contain 16 digits. So, as per that we have given red, green, blue like this. Now, we got that color. So, okay, just I want to apply table row style. Okay, TD. So, just I am applying padding 5 pixels. Now, we can notice padding is increased for TDs. Like this we can apply the CSS styles. So, overall if you want to understand what we have covered today. So, today we have understood the ng repeat and forms development in AngularJS. Thank you, and we will continue remaining topics of AngularJS in the next lesson.